Hey, beautiful friends. This is Sarah Blumenfeld with Networking Done Different, an outreach of an invitation to more.com. Today, I'm joined by a new friend, Kayla Floyd, who I met at an event recently. And I just loved her work so much that I wanted to share it with you. Hey, Kayla.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, so I know that we're going to cover like three things today. One is you do intuitive readings. The second is you've written several books. And the third being that you mentor other authors. So to start with, how did you get into all this?
Right? It's quite the mixed bag.
Right?
The intuitive readings are interesting. It's something that has followed me my whole life. So I had a beloved uncle that passed away when I was 14
Mm,
and started sensing his presence. And then it wasn't until my mid 20s that I had my first reading myself, and things really started opening up for me intuitively. It was in that session that the gentleman talked about my own gifts and validated some things that I had had happen to me over the years that were kind
mhm.
of, a little strange to say. But yeah, so since then, probably since my mid 20s into my early 30s, I really just nurtured the gift, had a mentor. And then it was when I found my meditation practice and also when I became a mother that my
Mm.
channel blew kind of wide open. And I've been doing it professionally for about 10 years, offering readings to other folks.
Wow. So how do you do your readings? Is it different than everybody else?
Um, Right. I feel like everybody's is our, their own little flavor, especially
Right.
since, I always tell people, I mean, I know there are certain schools, like there's the Monroe Institute and there's some schools in London, but I always tell people there's not really a college for this sort of thing. There's not really like, a learning track. And so many of us are really just self-taught, and what a strange thing to have happened to you as a human, right? Such an
Right.
odd, bizarre thing. And so my readings, I like to call them warm readings because I really enjoy getting some information from the client prior to the reading, because I feel like it helps me to really narrow in on what it is that I'm seeing, hearing, feeling, that sort of thing. So I have the
Mhm.
client fill out a questionnaire of their main questions, how they want to feel after the reading, any background they want to provide me, and then I take that for about an hour before I ever meet with anybody or before I ever get on Zoom with them. I take their questions into meditation and I start just writing. I start hearing things, seeing images. And probably about the first half of the time that I spend with them, I'm sharing those notes. I'm sharing everything that I saw and sensed and answering any of their questions. And then probably the second half of the reading, I tell them they can answer any other questions and we'll do live channeling. I'll live answer their questions, but it's just kind of my way. I like to have that hour before of quiet that I can really tune in and hear whatever their guides, spirits, angels, passed on loved ones, whatever you want to call it, hear what they're saying for that person.
Right. Right. Yeah, so that is, I think, warm reading versus cold reading, right?
Yeah.
Cold reading where you don't want them to tell you anything about anything. You just say what you get. I like your way better, actually.
And me too, Sarah, because I've done it both ways over the years. I
Mhm.
used to do completely cold readings and I wouldn't even meet with people. I would just send them a report and a lot of things would hit, but then other things people would inevitably email me back and say, well, this is kind of right, but this isn't really right. And then once I had the context of what they were talking about, just like now, I just got the chills. I would get full body chills and I would say, oh, having that context. So
Right, right.
I really prefer to work with people who are not skeptics, who already believe.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
when we have that synergy of knowing, like, hey, this is what we're doing here. Like, you believe in the unseen, I believe in the unseen. Let's get some context. And then I feel like people, they leave feeling more satisfied that way. And
Yes,
that's really
yes.
my goal, is that people feel lighter, they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel clearer. It's really fun. I have a really great relationship with my clients, and my clients come to me, like, I have a very tight knit roster of people that just continue to see me.
Oh, well, that speaks highly then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
you're providing value, or that wouldn't occur.
Yeah. And I think it's different. I mean, people tell me that it's different than any other readings that they've had.
Mhm.
And I like that. I do it my way, and I don't know any other way because it's the only way that it works for me.
Right, right. Yeah. I know context is valuable, because I had a reading one time, and the lady was trying to, she saw something and she really couldn't understand it. And then I gave her some context, and she's like, oh, I never would have got that, because it's not part of my experience. It's not part of
Yes.
anything I've ever heard of. So yeah, it is a good thing for sure.
And I find that they're usually communicating like through the reader's schema, like you said, like they
Mhm. Right.
use, your life experience, your memories, your things to tell you like, oh, this is like that time when blah blah blah, and then you're able to convey
Yeah,
it to the client. I'm always
exactly.
trying to get better. I kind of have a thing with spirit where I'm like, okay, like give me one little detail that they don't ask about, that they don't tell me about, that only like they would know. And so I
Mhm,
have my
mhm.
little benchmarks that I'm trying to work with spirit so I can get better, so that I don't need as much
Right.
context.
Yeah.
For example, like I was giving a reading to a client the other day, and I said, I have to tell you this. I saw this image of a trowel, like what you used to garden with. And I was like,
Mhm.
I saw an image of a trowel. And I told her, I said, I ask spirit sometimes just to give me an image of something that, and if it doesn't connect with you, tell me, that's okay. And she was like, literally before I got on this reading, I was holding a trowel gardening. And so it was that little hit. And sometimes all you need, and that's what I always ask spirit before reading, I was like, just give us at least one or two validations, quick hits of things like
Mhm.
that, because sometimes that's all you need to then receive the things that maybe feel more general, or more, like, oh, this could be
Mhm.
for anybody, but really they are for you. But the skeptic's
Right.
mind will say, well, this isn't, a certain person's name or a certain detail. And so I like to ask for those tiny little validations that kind of like let everybody exhale, so that then you can receive what spirit really wants to say, you know?
Right, right. What do you find is one of the biggest misconceptions about having a reading?
Mm, I think, well, a couple. One thing that I actually have a lot of clients who are religious. I'm
Mhm.
not particularly religious, but I do have clients that adhere to certain and different religions. And so
Mhm.
I think it's really cool that they have found context for it within, a safe context for it within their religion, to where they don't feel like it's blasphemous, or it's, of
Mm.
the dark or whatever,
Right, right.
um I also think that there's this misconception that like something fantastical is going to happen. I usually tell my clients ahead of time, and hopefully it's conveyed in my website, that it's really just like a conversation with a really
Mhm.
good friend. And
Yeah.
that, the information channeling through is just like that person that just gets you when you're having a great
Mm.
conversation with someone. You're like, oh my gosh, they get it. I'm getting the chills again. That is really what it's like to have a reading. I think if someone's ever done it before, it feels scary and esoteric, but really it's just a conversation among friends, and there's kind of this third unseen party in the room that's filling in the other space.
Mhm, mhm. So a misconception that comes up for me right now is that you're going to tell them something about themselves that's like they don't want anybody to know, it's embarrassing,
Mm,
right? Does that happen or no?
well, I mean, I will say sometimes there, not often, but sometimes sensitive stuff does come up. I mean, I definitely have had instances where I'm just like, I'm feeling a spirit, and it feels childlike, and either you had a miscarriage or an abortion. And so for
Mhm,
that
mhm.
person, it can be very a guttural response if it was an abortion and they didn't want anybody to know about it, or miscarriage or whatever.
Right,
So
right,
every
right.
now and then things like that do come up, but usually it's this wash of relief and healing
Mm.
that comes over the person, that spirit, that baby is, that soul, well, it's not really a
Yeah,
baby, but that soul
yeah,
is with
yeah,
them. But no, I mean,
yeah.
I'm not like, I'm not seeing that they cheated on their taxes, or I don't know.
Right, right.
And I really stick to the script as far as that's why I love getting that all those questions and everything, because I stick to the script. I'm like, let's get about the business of what you need. I want to help people move forward and get clarity. And so I really like those questions, and I stick to those questions. I'm not like digging around in their energy field.
Right. Okay, just to reassure our friends. She's not digging around in your business. You mentioned that you have clients that see you on a regular basis. What is it once a month they get a reading, or do you have a recommendation of how often someone could benefit?
It's usually when I have a new client, they're usually very excited and they have a lot of questions and a lot to answer. And so those people tend to come to me. I mean, I had a client that was seeing me every other week for, 3 or 4 months. And then she started seeing me quarterly or, just as it came up. More often than not, that's the case where people are seeing me. Like I've had a client for 10 years who buys a reading every year on her birthday. And that sort of thing. Sometimes like if someone is coming too much, I mean, they know and I know, and I'll tell them like, unless you have pointed questions, then it's it's a waste of your money and your time.
What about timelines? Are you predictive as far as when am I going to meet my new romantic partner? Well, in 3 months time, or no?
Yeah. So I find that they're very generous with me on timelines. When I say they, I mean like the spirits, whoever is communicating with me. And my clients, that's what's so fun about having done it so long. My clients tell me over the years that my readings tend to unfold over about 18 months. So I have that 1 to 2 year timeline where, maybe something doesn't click for them or they don't understand it. And then it's just like whoosh, it happens. And then there have been other times where people have asked me about, will I find love? And it's like, you will, but it's like 5+ years out. It feels further out. Oftentimes I may not sometimes I see numbers, like exact numbers, but sometimes I won't see exact numbers, but I will just sense the immensity of time, like that it feels very far out. There was a woman that was trying to get pregnant for the longest time. And I was like, I just see a baby, like by next September, a baby in arms, next September, getting the chills again. And she had the baby in July. At that time, she wasn't pregnant. She wasn't, she had several miscarriages. And so the baby was born in July, not September, but the baby was in arms by September. So,
right. Oh, wow.
And most of my clients
on that one.
I think most of my clients aren't trying to split hairs. I mean, I think the thing, I'm a little bit private with my practice. Like I don't, I love referrals and that sort of thing. And I will see new clients, but I'm careful with my heart and with theirs. And I just want to see people that have, good intentions and that aren't skeptics and that understand that this is a very, I don't know, it's a very nebulous practice. Like to work with the other side is, it's not exact.
Right. Because there is no time on the other side.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a construct of this reality.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. That sounds totally fun. Totally.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to your books. Tell us about the books that you've authored, I think recently.
Yeah, so my first book came out in 2020, and I wrote a children's book. All 3 of my books are mindful children's books or family books, called Wondrous You. And it won the Moonbeam Children's Book Award for poetry. And it is a collection of empowering poems for kids and for the child in us all. Just to speak to, like, words have power. There's one in here called Your Voice Matters. Healing begins within. I have a daughter, and these are kind of the universal life lessons that I share with her. And so I just wanted to create a collection. It's like just from my mama heart to her, and to anyone trying to raise a child in today's times, and instill this sense of, you are powerful. You are everything you seek. It is all within you. Right. And then beyond that, I wrote a book called the Bedtime Book, which again it's like a mindful, this one reads more like a children's book in that it's not a collection of poems, but it's like a mindful
Oh,
bedtime
wow.
ritual.
That's
It's beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a it's how do you say this? It's a body scan. So when my daughter
Oh,
can't sleep, I'll say, like, relax your head, relax your face. I'll guide her through a body scan. And so this is a
uh-huh.
really sweet rhyming bedtime body scan that parents can read to their kiddos to relax them and calm them down before bed.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh my goodness. And the artwork, the
Oh,
graphics are gorgeous.
it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then my last book is called Joyful Mornings. It's meant to be a small pocket book. I was inspired by the Thich Nhat Hanh Mindful Essentials series. He has those little small books like How to Eat, How to Sit. But this is a
Mm.
collection of morning poetry. We read like a poem a morning in my family, but it's just things to kind of get you centered and light in your day. So there's 12 poems. Breathe, thank, smile, intend, enliven, and it goes on. And again, like, just really beautiful art. I had a lot of fun
Oh,
hiring the artists for each of the
wow.
books.
Nice.
And just meant as a way to center in and bring lightness, joy, and mindfulness. I mean, and that's the center of
Mhm.
each of my books. It's just that sense of how can I bring the family together for a light, joyful, mindful moment.
Would you be willing to share one of the poems?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I would love to. Let's do laugh. How about let's do
Okay.
laugh? Lightness is an inner state that paves the path to create a day of joy, a life of fun, an always shining inner sun. Ease and flow thrive in light. Even fear can't hold tight when you lighten from within and change the state that you're in. There's lots of ways you could try to smooth the crunch you feel inside. Dancing helps, hugs too, breathing deeply to renew. But laughter holds its own power. It's like a happy inner shower. It tells your body and your brain that joy and love are free to reign. Try to make a little chuckle, practice ease, skip the struggle, think of something extra goofy, maybe from a funny movie. Let the sound roll right through, thinking thoughts that tickle you. Let your chest and belly shake and feel the joy in its wake. Morning laughter offers hope and tethers you like a rope to vibrant hues instead of gray, to better feelings through your day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
they're short. They're all 7 stanzas, and they're all that same length, and they're just meant to just give you a little bit of lightness. I feel like a little dose, your little
Yeah.
medicine in the morning.
Yeah. So where can our friends get these books?
So they're available online anywhere books are sold.
Okay.
Bookshop, of course, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all of those places.
Okay.
The local Barnes and Noble here in Pearland carries Wondrous You, but otherwise all the books are available online. And there's links on my website. So at kaylafloyd.com on the books page, I have the purchase links where you can get the books.
Okay. Okay. Are there more books in the offing?
I'm always thinking, right? I'm always
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully. There's nothing I'm working on currently right now, but
Okay. Okay.
I'm pretty wrapped up in my clients' projects right now. So I'm helping a woman who is writing her memoir, and I'm also about to teach a writing and meditation retreat in Spain in a couple weeks. So
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
I'm very wrapped up in other projects right now.
Wow. Well, that's a good segue into how you help other authors. So share a little about that.
Yes. Yeah, so writing has always been my first love since I was little. And I have done, all the things through the years, like freelance writing and editing and proofreading and all of that. And so I offer those services to people, one off if people reach out to me and want help. Right now, I'm working with a woman who's writing her memoir. So meeting weekly as she's writing, and I'm giving her feedback and helping her move through that process. And then I'll edit her draft when she's done. But it kind of looks different for everyone. I worked for a wonderful company for a while called You Can Get It Done. And I helped people through all process of publishing their books. So I've helped a lot of people. I recently edited a book called Raising Anti-Diet Kids, which I was really proud of, by a wonderful woman called Andrea Dow. So if you're into body positivity, health at every size, anti-diet, I edited that book. So yeah, I just, take it. I don't have a big splash on my website about it. I just tell people to email me if they're curious or interested in, book coaching or editing or writing support. It's just a personal passion and something that I love to do.
Wow, that's awesome. I think many of us have books inside just waiting to get out.
Yes.
And yet we're not sure the process of that.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And so I work with people to self-publish. I mean, I have a little bit of know-how about the traditional publishing world, and I have, a friend who's an agent, and I have a little bit of know-how, but I self-published my books and had great success with them. And I love the self-publishing world. So I have an expertise in that area, and really love to just help people, find their story, claim their story, and help them with the mechanics of it. So many people like have a story within them, but don't have the writing polish or that. And it's just one of my superpowers is proofreading, editing, words. I'm a wordsmith, a lover of words.
Yeah. And part of the process of writing a book, besides just getting it out there to share with others, is what you learn and who you become through the process, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, don't write a book unless you are ready for some self-awareness and self-discovery. I mean, even just like writing my children's books, not just writing memoir, but I've written a couple novels that I haven't published. But just that process of end to end finishing a book will test you. It will help you meet yourself. It will uncover all sorts of things about yourself that you didn't know, or maybe didn't want to face.
It's like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
But I am in love with the written word. I mean, there are few things better. I mean, obviously, holding my daughter for the first time was pinnacle moment of my life. But there are a few things better that I can think of than, holding one of these books when they were first published, or holding my clients' books. Every time a client publishes a book and they send one to me, I cry. Like I cry. It's such a beautiful thing. I think Natalie Goldberg, who wrote Writing Down the Bones, one of my all-time favorite writing books, says, we're the only species that write. There's no other animal on the planet that writes, that uses words, and what a special thing that is.
Yeah. Wow. So all of you who have a book waiting inside you, get some help and get it out there.
Yes.
It could change your life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, what else would you like to share with our friends?
Well, I would love to know about, you said you've written in the past. Tell me about your writing.
Yeah, so in 2010, I wrote and self-published a book. I was very much into business networking at the time.
Okay.
And it's called Nurturing Networker, Business Networking That Matters.
Okay.
And basically, I had done a webinar, a teleseminar series with, 10 or 12 people on what they felt was important about business networking. And that was the majority of the book, was the transcription of those. So that was fun. And I did actually get that one printed. So I still have a few of the physical books.
That's exciting. That feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then I wrote a book called Treasure Chest, which is on Amazon Kindle.
Oh, cool.
And it's basically a word and a picture going with the word and it's kind of an inspirational book. And then when my second husband crossed over in 2011, I started writing about our life experience and our experience after he crossed over and started communicating with me and giving me presents and all those wonderful things.
Oh my gosh.
So book 1 is on Kindle. It's called So Much More, A Story of What Else is Possible. And there are at least 2 more books sitting on my computer, continuations from where that one stopped. It's just kind of gone on the back burner for the last few years, and it keeps niggling at me. Come on, get it out there.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. What a cool story.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. There's a lot of really cool stuff in that book.
So Much More. You said that's what it's called?
So much more. Yeah. It's if you go onto Amazon and type in my full name, Sarah Pencil Blumenfeld, the 2 books will come right up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nurturing Networker is not on Amazon. I just have the printed book.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
I love
Thanks
it.
for asking.
I've often yes, I've often thought of writing, a collection of stories. I love reading about communication from the other side. And I have a blog on my website, and I think the search, I have categories. I think it's called the Miracle Log for validations or something. You can click on readings, but on my blog I share some of those stories of when I do a reading and we just have a particularly great validation or an image comes through that resonates with a client. I love to share those stories because I think that even me, isn't it interesting that even me, a person who does this for a living, and has been 20 years in service to this gift, still doubts from time to time, still has those moments of, is this real? Like, how could this be? And I just my bucket gets completely filled every time one of those validation stories comes through. And I eat it up as just, spiritual food to buoy me and remind me that we are all connected and this is real and all of that. So
for sure. Awesome. Well, how do people connect with you to access any of the wonderful services you've shared today?
Yeah, so the best way is my website. I'm not on social media. Well, that's not true. I do have a TikTok account that has book related content, but the best way to reach me is kaylafloyd.com, which is my website. And you can see all of my services there, my email, as well as my list. So really the best way to keep in touch is to subscribe to my email list, because that's, I'll announce certain things that I don't often. Sometimes I won't publish it on my website. Like if I'm having a sale on readings or have particular spots open, or like this retreat that I'm teaching in Spain in a couple weeks, I never marketed that anywhere, outside of just my community.
Right. All right, y'all, get part of Kayla's community.
Yes.
So you don't miss out on something awesome like that.
And when you join the list, say hello. Shoot me a little email, Kayla@kaylafloyd.com. I always love hearing from people. And this has been such a pleasure. I'm so excited to have met you. You have such a warm and bright energy, and such a clear channel. You're such a beautiful soul.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, friends, thank you for listening. We always appreciate you taking the time to tune in and connect with the people that we interview. If you would like to be interviewed, please email me at networkingdonedifferent@gmail.com. See you next time. Bye.
Bye, Sarah. Thank you.
Yep.